You're listening to the It's Your Time podcast, and I'm your host, certified life coach Michelle Arnold Burke. In today's episode, we're discussing how to stay consistent when life disrupts your routine and why all or nothing thinking is costing you.
Welcome to the It's Your Time podcast, the podcast where busy professionals like you get the practical solutions and support you need to gain control of your schedule so you can strive to be the best in your career, but without the stress and overwhelm. If you're looking to increase your energy and decrease your stress, you are in the right place.
Hello. Welcome back to the podcast, friends. Okay, today I want to start with a story. A few weeks ago, we got absolutely hammered by a storm. And I'm not talking like, oh, it rained all day kind of storm. I'm talking 80-mile-per-hour winds, trees out, transformers blown, power out, internet out for 5 days, counting, I guess, and then some. It was nuts. And it's quite a wake-up call to the things that we take for granted, how much we really depend on technology. And also, if you know me, you know my morning routine is basically sacred. Like, I protect that thing. It doesn't matter if we're on vacation. It really is what sets the tone for everything I do. And when I realized what we were dealing with, no power, no internet, no access to anything online, my brain went to, I can't do my routine. I'm not going to be able to do all the things that I do. And here's what I want to talk about today, because I think this is so relevant to what you deal with in your world too. That moment right there, right? That's the moment that actually defines your success, not the perfect morning, not the flawless routine. The moment when things go sideways and you decide what you're made of. Today, we are talking about consistency, change, and what success actually looks like when life is doing what life does, which is being unpredictable. So let's get into it. Here's what's actually happening in your brain when your circumstances change suddenly. And I want you to really hear this, because understanding it is what gives you power over it. Your brain perceives disruption as a threat, not metaphorically, literally. When your normal patterns get interrupted, your amygdala fires up, and that's the part of your brain that's been keeping humans alive for thousands of years. We've talked about this on a number of episodes, scanning the environment for danger. And your brain does not distinguish between a saber-toothed tiger and your Wi-Fi going down. Change equals unknown. Unknown equals threat. Threat equals I need to sound the alarm. So your prefrontal cortex, the rational, strategic, let's figure this out part of your brain, gets partially hijacked, which is why your first instinct isn't, okay, how do I adapt? It's everything is falling apart. And here's what makes change feel even harder. Discomfort is a signal your brain is designed to move away from. We are hardwired for homeostasis, the known, the comfortable, the predictable. And your brain will always make a case for staying put, for going back to the way things were, for not rocking the boat. And it will dress that case up in every rational sounding language. Maybe it's something like, I just can't do it right now. The timing's off. It's not worth doing it if I can't do it properly. Anything sound familiar? Because I promise you, that voice is not wisdom. That voice is fear. And it's not the boss of you. The thing about growth, real growth, lasting growth, is that it lives on the other side of discomfort every single time. Not some of the time, every time. And the women who understand that, who have made a decision that discomfort is not a stop sign, but a green light that says you're moving forward, those are the ones building something real. Change is not the exception. Change is the constant. And if you're waiting for stability before you commit to your habits, your goals, your growth, I need you to hear this. That day is not coming. The stability that you're looking for, it's built by showing up through the instability. Now, let's get into the habit science, because this is where it gets really good. Researcher Charles Duhigg breaks habit loops down into 3 parts: cue, routine, and reward. Your brain is wired around those loops. When the cue disappears, so in my case, my normal environment, my internet, the connection, my usual setup, the brain short circuits and says the routine is gone too. But the cue and the habit are not the same thing. The cue is just a trigger. The habit, the actual skill, the actual behavior, the actual practice lives inside you. It's not the Wi-Fi password. It's not in the Peloton app. It is in your body and your mind. And the research is clear. People who have strong habit identities, meaning they see themselves as the person who does the thing, not as someone who does the thing under the right conditions, those people are far more resilient when circumstances shift. James Clear calls this casting votes for future versions of yourself. And I've talked about this a number of times too. Atomic Habits, such a great book by James Clear. And every time you show up, even if it's a modified, adapted, imperfect version, you cast a vote that says, I am someone who does this. And those votes compound. Darren Hardy wrote the whole book on it called The Compound Effect. Small, consistent actions over time create massive results, not big, dramatic, perfect actions occasionally. Small, consistent compounding is the way to go. And let's talk about minimum baseline. I think this is one of the most underrated success strategy tools that you can use. So this is the part that I really want to kind of camp out for a minute about as well, because I think this is where so many high-performing women who are already doing a lot, trip themselves up. It's all or nothing thinking. In cognitive behavioral therapy, it's called cognitive distortion, black and white thinking, the belief that if something doesn't meet the full standard, it doesn't count. It's a zero, a failure, not worth doing. And there's a second layer to it called negativity bias, which is our brain's built-in tendency to give more weight to what we didn't do or didn't achieve than to what we did accomplish. And it's why you can lose, 8 pounds and then you spend the whole week fixating on the extra 2 that you didn't lose, or you hit 80% of your goal and your brain files it under failure. Meanwhile, 8 actual pounds are gone from your body. That is real. That happened, and your brain just, scrolls right past it. It's not a character flaw. It's how the human brain is built. But you can absolutely work with it once you know that it's happening. And the antidote is minimum baseline thinking. And here's a concept. Instead of letting all or nothing thinking pull you out of the game entirely, you define the minimum version of the habit that still counts as that vote. The floor, the non-negotiable smallest version. So maybe it's 10 minutes on the treadmill instead of 45. Maybe it's a 5-minute breath work instead of a full class. Maybe it's reading 1 page instead of the entire chapter. Is 10 minutes the same as the full workout? Of course not. But here's the question that actually matters. Is 10 minutes better than 0? 100% all of the time, yes. Does it keep the identity intact? The identity of someone who moves her body every day? Yes. Does it cast a vote? Yes. James Clear has a rule that he calls the 2-minute rule. Scale any habit down to something that takes 2 minutes to start. The goal is not the 2 minutes. The goal is that you never blow the habit entirely. You never become someone who stopped, because getting back up after you've stopped is much harder than just keeping the minimum going. And think about it like a pilot light on a stove. Do they still have those? I'm sure they do, right? You don't need the burner blazing every single day. You just need to keep the pilot light on, because a pilot light that stays lit can always turn into a full flame. A pilot light that goes out has to be relit from scratch, and sometimes you can't find the damn matches, right? So let's talk about redefining success on your terms, because this is something that is so important and honestly something that I feel very strongly about. There is this pervasive cultural message, and I would argue it's very masculine coded, that says the only version of success that counts is the all-in, go hard, no days off type of version. That anything less is laziness or lack of commitment. That if you're not giving 100% every single time, balls to the wall, then you're just not serious. And I'm just going to say, I sometimes can't stand that mentality. Not because I'm against hard work. I am genuinely all in on the hustle. I kind of love the grind. I love ambition and drive and setting big goals and going for them. It's not what I'm pushing back on. I'm pushing back on the idea that success looks the same in every season of your life for every single person, because it doesn't. It can't. There are seasons where you are building, you've got the energy, the bandwidth, the clear runway, you go full out. Beautiful. Love it. And then there are seasons when you're dealing with a storm, literally or figuratively. A health issue, a family crisis, a career transition, 5 days with no power. And in those seasons, success gets redefined. Not abandoned, redefined. Success in the storm might be the 10-minute workout. Success in the storm might be drinking enough water and going to bed on time. Success in the storm might be not quitting. And that version of success is just as valid and just as powerful as the 5 a.m. workout, fully optimized day, because it's the version that keeps you in the game for the long haul. And the people who flame out aren't the ones who did the 10-minute version sometimes. They're the ones who decided that because they couldn't do it perfectly, they were done. And then done became a week, and a week became a month, and they lost the thread. The all or nothing mindset doesn't just affect your habits, it affects your whole relationship with yourself. When you can only accept perfection, you are setting yourself up to feel like a failure most of the time, because life is not a perfect environment. And you deserve a better story than that. True success in the long game is consistency over time, across seasons, through change. And that requires flexibility. It requires permission to meet yourself where you actually are, not where you think you should be. Okay, so back to the storm. 5 days, no power, no internet. And after my brain had its little freak out moment, I just stopped and I asked myself, what do I actually know how to do? I know how to breathe. I've done enough breath work that I don't need someone on a screen to walk me through it. I know how to sit in silence and stillness. I've meditated enough that the guidance is for sure nice to have, but a not need to have item. I have a treadmill also, and it runs without Wi-Fi. I am capable of telling myself to pick up my pace without Robin Arzon in my ear, as much as I do love her. So I did get my morning routine, and it was modified. It was stripped back. And you know what? It was actually kind of powerful because I proved something to myself. The routine is always mine. It never just lives in an app. Now, here's where I will keep it real with you, because I did drive to a place with internet so that I could do a Peloton meditation and keep my streak going. I just want to make sure you know that, because I am always talking about it, and I'll just put it out there. I'm 0% ashamed of it, because that is also consistency. I found a way, I adapted to keep the commitment. That's the whole point. Consistency is not white knuckling through the exact same routine every single day, no matter what. That's rigidity, and rigidity breaks. Consistency is keeping the process, honoring the plan, and being willing to adjust when life does what life does, which is change constantly. Now, let's bring this home to your world specifically, because if anyone knows about having the rug pulled out without warning, it is a medical device rep. Your hospital access gets cut, or your top doc goes on sabbatical. Your territory gets restructured again. A new competitor maybe launches, and then suddenly the conversation in the OR shifts. Your quarter tanks because of something completely out of your control. What do you do with that? Here's what I see happen. The disruption becomes the excuse. And I get it. It's real disruption. But the reps who rise consistently to the next level have made a shift that most people haven't. They've decided that they are the constant, not the circumstances. Your competitor changed the landscape? Okay. You still know how to build relationships. You still know how to add value in a room. You still know your product. The cue changed. The skill didn't. And here's where minimum baseline applies directly to your pipeline, for example. Maybe you can't do your full prospecting block this week. Fine. Can you make at least 5 calls instead of 20? Can you send 3 follow-up notes instead of 10? Can you do one thing today that keeps the momentum alive? Because I promise you, your competitor is probably throwing the whole playbook out right now. That's your advantage. You do the adapted version. You keep the pilot light lit. And when the smoke clears, you haven't lost the thread. And here's what I want you to feel into for a second. There's an energetic signature to showing up for yourself, even when it's hard, even when it's modified, even when it's just 10 minutes instead of an hour. You are sending a message to yourself and honestly to the universe that says, I matter. My goals matter. My growth matters. And that signal compounds just as much as the physical habit does. When you bail on yourself because the conditions aren't perfect, you also send a signal. And over time, that becomes a story that you carry about who you are and about what you're capable of. And it just starts chipping away. The version of you who maybe drove somewhere to get that internet for the meditation when everything else was offline, she's not messing around. She is someone who finds a way. And that is the most powerful version of consistency there is. Not the version who had the perfect setup. The version who kept the promise to herself when it was inconvenient. That energy is magnetic. That's the version of you people want to follow, to buy from, and to be around. So let's talk about something else that I see. And I want to have a little confidence reframe here. And it's where I really want you to zoom all the way out, because this connects to something that I hear constantly from women that I work with. I want to be more confident, is what I hear. Michelle, I want to be more confident. And I used to think confidence was this big, bold, powerful thing that either you had or you didn't have. But I've reframed this completely. And this is important because confidence is simply the belief that you will figure it out. That's it. It's not certainty. It's not having all the answers. It's not never feeling scared or doubtful. It's knowing in your bones that whatever gets thrown at you, you will find a way through it. So my storm showed me that, right? I didn't know exactly what day 2 was going to look like with no power. I didn't have a plan entirely. And I'm an Aries, an oldest daughter, and a generator who may or may not also be a control enthusiast, right? So I just had to trust myself to figure it out. And guess what? I did. And that trust was built not in a single moment, but in every single time in the past that I've had to show up for myself before. Same thing with you. Every small vote, every minimum baseline rep, every morning where you just do the thing even when it's not convenient. That's where real confidence comes from, not from some big external win, from the track record you build with yourself. So if you're sitting there thinking, I'm not confident enough, here's your question. Has there been a situation in your life where you thought you couldn't get through it and you did anyway? Of course there has been. There have been many. You always figure it out. You always do it. Start trusting that and build from that. Okay, here's what I want you to sit with this week. Think about one area in your life, your health, your sales process, your personal growth, your morning routine, where you've been letting all or nothing thinking run the show, where you've been saying, I'll get back to it when things calm down, or I can't do it right now, so I just won't bother. What is the minimum baseline version? What is the pilot light that you could keep lit even in the middle of the storm? What's the 10-minute version, the 5-call version, the 1-page version? Do that today. Not the full thing, the minimum. Cast the vote. Keep the thread. And if you need to drive somewhere to get that Wi-Fi, to do the meditation, hey, to keep that streak going, I fully support any decision that you make. All right, that's a wrap on today's episode. If this one resonated, share it with a woman in your world who needs to hear it. Please leave a review if you haven't already, and 5 stars would be amazing and much appreciated. It genuinely helps the show reach more people who need it. And remember, it's your time. Not when everything is perfect, not when conditions are ideal, right now with what you have in this exact season of your life. That is enough. And so are you. Okay, friends, that's what I have for you today. Let's meet back here next week. But for now, make it a great day. Take care.
Did you know you can take this work to a deeper level with me one-on-one? Go to michelleburkecoaching.com and click on Get Started to begin.